Vanguard Tabletop, and I'm here to explain how to create a character in my tabletop RPG, Equal Honor. Moving right along, we'll start out with Skirmisher mode. This will be on page 6 of the character creation guide, and this is the standard game mode to play Equal Honor in. And if you know this one, you'll know all of them, so we'll just mess with this one for the time being. But first things first is you'd give your character a name, and then moving right along with your health bar. We'll come back to this after we've put in our skills, because your endurance modifier will be added to your health. It'll be 20 plus your endurance. On from there, we have the armor. This is something we'll also come back to. This is the total armor rating, and the only reason this is important is if you're, say, stuck in something like mud or some other hard to navigate terrain. A very high armor rating affects how easily you can navigate that terrain. On from there, we have the trauma marker, which this is on every body part, which will be listed on the next couple pages. But in this case, the example is on the head and neck. You could have a blinded right eye, but a more common form of trauma would be bleeding damage. So if you took, let's just say, light piercing damage to the head, you would mark in there that you take 1 point of damage every turn because you are lightly bleeding. Skill mods, in this case we have an example of -2 perception. This could be from a large helmet you could be wearing, might reduce your perception. That'll be listed on the armor's stats. Below that you have 3 sections here, which can be 3 different pieces of head armor you might be able to have on at one time. And just above that is another armor rating just for the total armor for that body region. Not super important unless you're taking off and putting on armor, in which case that total might change, or the subtotal will change if you're keeping your armor around, just not currently wearing it. But your armor stats will be can be copied directly from the armor asset page, and you'll put the name of the armor right up below where it says armor. And like I said, in armor stats, just copy the stats from the asset page. It'll tell you everything you need to know in a pinch. If you don't want to do that, then you'll have to go into the armor section and actually find those stats whenever it becomes relevant. So I recommend going ahead and copying into there. That way you just have it when you need it. On Skirmisher mode, you put a piece of head armor in, and it can be any piece that has an armor rating of 4 or less from the armor page, and there are a couple options there you can go look at. I might show a clip of that just so you can kind of see where to look for. And moving on from there, your torso, same thing, just any piece of armor that's 4 or less can go there. There are multiple chainmail options. You can't, however, use the arming doublet, because that's a special piece of armor that's only really useful if you're wearing a full set of plate armor. Skipping down to the 8th page, we have our skills. You get 40 of these total, and they can split however you want them between the 9 sections here: strength, dexterity, accuracy, willpower, communication, perception, endurance, intelligence, and magic. Like I said before, endurance, whatever you put in that will also be added to your health. Each of these, as you can see, has a plus buff and minus debuff. Those will remain blank unless you end up putting on armor that causes buffs and debuffs to skills. Each skill, when you're first creating a character, is capped at 8, so you can't go beyond 8 in any of these. Down the line, any buffs can bring it above 8, and any sort of if you get leveled up during a campaign, then that's fine to go above 8 if your game master allows it. Below that we have defenses, and defenses, there are 4 different types. They're all based on either dexterity or strength, and each of them just has slightly different applications depending on what you're doing and what type of shield you might be using if you're using a shield. Dodge is pretty self-explanatory. You just move out of the way of an incoming attack. Bat is you use a weapon or shield or object to swipe an incoming attack off its course. So both of those are dexterity based, but block and deflect are strength based. Block is holding something in the way of an incoming attack. A shield is an excellent example. Deflect is whenever a strike is incoming and you attack the weapon basically with your weapon to stop it from continuing to move. That is also strength based. And moving on from there, we will get into attacks. Now with your attacks, unarmed melee is a given. That is based on your strength, and it shows your damage there. Any buffs or debuffs are also included. As you can see, the attack roll 1d20 plus strength, and then you put your number there, and that will be your strength modifier number. And if you have buffs or debuffs in strength, then those will go after that. Damage is a baseline 2 plus your strength number yet again. And below you'll see some sets for what you want to choose as your beginning set. The Squire set comes with a couple different weapons and your choice of either a spear or a short bow. If you choose short bow, you get 20 arrows with that. And in the type section, you will write in your arrow count. But that can be copied directly again from the weapon asset sheet. Moving on from there is the Templar set. That starts with different weapons, but instead you get a choice between a longsword or a flanged mace as a more or less primary weapon, and then you always get a crossbow with 20 ammo. The last one being the soldier set. You can start with a halberd or a pike, and then you get an arming sword and dagger as your secondary and tertiary weapons. On from there, the inventory, it tells you exactly what items you start with. These are always starting items that can be copied from the item asset list. Those have special properties such as healing, or the food rations and water keep you from gaining the ailment of starvation or dehydration. In skirmisher mode, there are no spells that you start with. Spells are something the game master may give along the way in a campaign, or if you're doing a written campaign, it's possible you'll come across spells, but that's mostly a game master decision. But magic in the Equal Honor universe is a little sparse, at least currently, and spells have great adverse effects, usually if you try and use them more than once per day. That's the current spells. Whatever the future may hold, we don't know. But running back over to attacks, again, just find each weapon in the weapons assets page, and if you just copy, that'll be the best for knowing what you have in a pinch, because it's nice to have that whenever you're in a fight. As you can see on the attacks below unarmed melee, you have to actually put in the skill that it uses, and the reason for this is because not every weapon uses strength like unarmed melee does. Some weapons use dexterity, such as the example given on the third attack down. The arming sword uses dexterity as its attack roll, but it uses strength as its damage roll. And that's something you'll have to pay attention to. It's best just to copy when you can. And I think that's all for making a character. Just remember to go back and fill in your health bar and your armor rating once you've put in what you've put in. And I hope that you have a good time playing, and thank you for watching.